Welcome back, Red Spotters. I'm your host today, Alexis J. Soto, joined by our favorites here, Mr. Peter Martinez and Ms. Alexis Moreno. This is going to be episode 287, and it is going to feature a long-awaited review of something that, let's just say, the three of us have a particular passion for, but not in the way that you might expect. Today, we are gathered to present...
Why are you saying this like a eulogy?
A report,
we are
a post-mortem, I don't know, an autopsy, if you will. Not really. We don't care that much to call it an autopsy. That would be The Rise of Skywalker. Go check our review last year. But it is keeping in the theme of Star Wars. We're talking about The Mandalorian today, and that would be Season 2. They just finished airing their 8 episodes on Disney Plus on a weekly basis, and we have a lot of feelings, and we have a lot of emotions, and we have a lot of thoughts. And those thoughts, feelings, and emotions may not be exactly as how the rest of the internet may be presenting them. So at the very least, I am going to say that this is going to be a pretty unique point of view.
Oh, man.
So that is the episode for today. Where do you guys want to start with this?
So how was your day?
He's back. Kind of.
Oh, guess who's back? Back again.
So that's our episode today. Where would you guys like to start? How are you guys? First of all.
Swell.
Okay.
Okay. So who wants to start with this? This whole thing?
Not it.
Are we like going episode by episode or just like as a whole?
No, God, no.
I think
we're not
just the
doing
whole
that.
thing.
No,
I can't do episode by episode.
Because to be honest, I didn't watch maybe like one episode.
I didn't watch the last episode. Well, I watched the last 5 minutes of the last episode.
Okay, why don't we start with some positives? Because I feel like there's more or less than that. Okay, I'll go first.
Were you waiting for us?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I think my only maybe positive of this show was that the first episode is my favorite episode of the whole series.
Oh.
And that's it.
I like, what do I like about the show? God. See, why'd you ask me a question that I was wholly unprepared for? It's, what's the word? There's a word I'm looking for. Competent.
Okay.
It is competently made. But I don't even know if that's like something I can say, because when you put this much money into it,
and like the story is not good at all. I wouldn't call it. It's visually good.
But see, this is the thing. Everything nice that I would say about it is something that it should be, because it's the biggest movie studio with the biggest property putting a shit ton of money into it. Mm-hmm. Like, if it's like a small indie film and I'm like, oh yeah, like visually it's nice and it's really competently made, like maybe that's a compliment. Yeah. But like for these people, competent should be a given. Okay. So it's like, beyond that, I don't really know. Oh, the only positive I have is like one episode specific, So should I just hold that, or should I just say it right now?
I would just say it because I don't think there's going to be too much of that.
Okay, never mind. I guess I'll just say it right now. I liked the second to last episode. I thought it was well done enough with Bill Burr. I liked Bill Burr's character. Like that, it felt like that was the first episode this entire season that went, oh shit, like these people are characters. They're not just action figures. Maybe we should do something with them, like character-wise, and like explore that. And they did it a little bit in that episode, and I was like, oh, I remember what characters are and like emotions and stuff like that. So that was kind of neat. Fuck, what else?
I mean, I guess I'll say I like the first episode because I feel like within that, like, I wish they would have kept it like this, where it was just like episodic rather than trying to fit like 5 stories into one.
They tried to have it all.
Yeah. And I liked the story that they were trying to tell in the first episode. I liked the characters. I thought the like creatures and stuff, like those were pretty fun to see.
The kayak dragon.
Yeah. I wish there was more of that rather than trying to fit a whole universe into one season. But yeah, that, like, I really like that first episode, but I feel like everything else is kind of a shit show, so I, like, it's not even saying that much either.
I thought it was kind of neat, but I mean, it was like Dune Light, or you could even say Tremors.
Yeah.
But it was nice. I don't know, my compliments for the show can never rise above nice, it seems. Like, oh, that was nice. Like, you know, a grandma just kind of like, oh, that's nice, dear. You know, go off and play. Like, that's kind of the highest level of compliment I've found being able to give to this show. At least for sure the second season. Maybe a little bit higher in the first, but this second season. Yeah, that wraps up my positives. Like, maybe there's more when we get into the nitty-gritty. But Mr. Soda, I know you liked this season more than all of us. So.
I mean, compared to what at this point, right?
Carcass?
It's a hell of an opening. One of you says it's a complete shit show, and the other one's like, it's nice. I don't know what to follow with other than, yeah, I guess.
Well, as far as anything you liked, I don't...
I'm literally trying to answer that question at the moment.
Are you stalling? What do you think?
I kind of am, because I'm really trying to find the answer in real time right now, why it is that I even watch this thing week to week, especially since, like, I didn't at all care for season 1.
You're the hardest on season 1.
I know. I think Alexis was harsher than I was on season 1.
Really? Were you?
At least I tried watching it as it was airing.
I did too for the first 3 weeks, and then I just gave up. And then, no, I didn't care at all for season 1. There were some aspects of it that were nice.
I like the first 3.
I don't. I know you keep saying that.
I know. I'm not going to convince anyone.
The most I'll go along with you is, I guess, episode 3 was pretty good-ish. I mean, they were all good to an extent, but I guess to me it's like, at what point do I care? And at no point when watching season 1 did I ever care about what's his name in the helmet or the Baby Yoda thing. The Ognot Queel That was the closest thing to a character that I enjoyed in season 1. You know?
Okay.
That was a cool character.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And there was some nice action. And the thing about that was there's so much money and production value on the screen that at some point you almost feel like you kind of have to give it attention because, God, how much they spent to put this. Like, I know so many far better written shows of this genre that would kill for a 10th of the budget this thing has.
Yeah.
And part of that, I will say, does make me a little infuriated with it because it's just not to the quality of shows that have a 10th of the budget in terms from a narrative standpoint, in large part because there is not really a grand standing narrative here. I know a lot of people want to paint this show as like the story of this father and son,
but it's
I
not.
guess I feel
That's so
it's
weird to me.
I just wanted to remind you that you started the sentence like you were going to tell us what you liked about the show.
I like the effects. I like the sets. I like the costumes.
I like money.
The action. Money, yeah. The action can be entertaining. It varies from set piece to set piece, but it can be, for the most part, very entertaining. The puppets, the creatures, they're nice. You know?
I like the big ant thing.
Yeah, that was nice.
Frog Lady was kind of
Frog Lady
cute.
was nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was fun. She was a new character. That was a rarity in the season.
That's why she was gone too. So sick.
Okay, things that I like about season 2. Like Alexa said, I really enjoyed the first opening installment of the season. In fact, I would dare to say that was the only episode of the entire show that I came close to loving, if that. But I thought it was very well done. I loved Timothy Olyphant as that character. I don't know, he was great as a cowboy.
You guys are gonna have your minds blown by Dune. I'm just telling you right now. If you love worms.
Okay, sure. I can't wait to see it on HBO Max. Coming to HBO Max this October, so we'll be here watching it from our homes. Speaking of which, Mr. Martinez, did you tell the audience that one of your best friends gave you a Dune poster for Christmas and that you have yet to put it on your wall?
What poster?
Dune.
I have no recollection, but
Oh, okay. Apparently no recollection. That's how ungrateful of a person he is, by the way, for the audience listening back at home. No, the first episode was very entertaining, very enjoyable, in large part because I think it had nothing to do with anything else in the show.
That's what
I guess that may be a backhanded compliment.
Like, I wish that they would. I don't know. I just felt like it gave me a little bit of false hope. Felt like we were gonna get to see kind of different things within this world.
The second,
it's hilarious too because like the last Halloween episode wasn't very good.
The second that Boba Fett's armor walked in should have told you guys something.
Yeah, it really should have. But honestly, like when that happened, I was also like, here we go.
Yes, but at the same time, we can't all pretend to say that it was surprising in the least. We were talking about it for months before the thing even dropped, about all of the things that were being rumored. And by the way, those leaks were all true.
Yeah.
Fun.
All of them. Oh, and we don't have to get here yet, but like all of my predictions
I haven't finished with the things that I liked yet,
were
Peter.
correct. I just want to throw that out so everyone knows, but go ahead.
I'm still fighting for things to like. Okay. I liked, and this may be the most, I guess, nerdy I get with this. I liked how Ahsoka's lightsabers looked in live action. It's nice to see those white lightsabers. So that was fun to see.
You like the white lightsabers?
Yeah, the white lightsabers. That's what I thought it really translated well to live action because we hadn't seen that, I think.
But why didn't you feel the same way about the Darksaber?
Because that came with its own headache of annoyances at the time.
Okay.
I was happy to see, although I don't necessarily care for the direction they're going with the character, I am happy to see Katie Sackhoff come, from the animation to play this character in live action.
At least she got to do that.
At least she got to do
she's
that.
a cool actress. A lot of you can tell they had fun.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, but they did. At least someone was. That's all it's nice.
I think for the most part, I enjoyed Rosario Dawson, although I do definitely I miss Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka Tano.
She's a good pick.
I like that Ming-Na Wen is getting a lot of work.
Yeah, sometimes you don't like the things that an actor is doing, but you're like, good for them for getting that paycheck, Yeah.
Yeah. And one more thing. I found one more thing. I think Peter is entirely right about that episode you mentioned with Bill Burr. It's called The Believer. That was the closest character work, slim as it was, but that was the closest attempt at character work as there was in the entire show. And that, I think, is kind of embarrassing. And it was the only episode not written by, I think, Jon Favreau.
The whole season, yeah. Which, when I saw that made complete sense to me. Jon Favreau seems really nice, but oh my god, I can't. Especially with the way people love this season and love him, like it's getting to like Zack Snyder fan group levels, where I'm just like, oh boy.
Yeah. I think couple of last things to wrap up here. Well, I forget. What was I gonna say? Damn it! I had it. There was one positive I had, and then I
know that
lost
last
it.
one seemed a little iffy.
It did a little bit. It did, and then my brain just reshuffled a couple of things. Bill Burr surprised me. His performance, the best actor in the whole show, in connection to what I was saying previously, and I liked, even though it featured Gina Carano, and I'm not that, I guess, on that train of firing her. I mean, I don't give a fuck either way because I don't give a fuck about the show, honestly. But I thought it was pretty nice to have a group of, 4 women just walk onto the Empire's ship and clean up, They just beat their way to the bridge. In the last episode, I think you guys may have missed that because you skipped to the very end.
But it sounds just like Marvel. Like it's literally exactly what Marvel did. Like you see all these characters that were all in the background that had like zero interaction with each other, and this moment that we totally did not earn, we're just gonna drop it in your lap.
And when one of those women don't support trans women, then
whoa, guys.
Don't attack Katie Sackhoff like that.
First of all, I'm trying real hard to find a positive here, Peter, and you really had to go out of your way to swat that one away.
It is funny. It's like I tried to help you up, and then I pushed you down the second. Sorry. It was a reflex. Go again.
I tried, man. I was legitimately giving it my all, but I think our feelings so far,
I think they're pretty clear.
They're clear, and I think we can pretty much say that none of us at all. It's weird. Going into this season, I think Alexis and I did not give a shit, and I think leaving this season, we even more do not give a shit. And in fact, I think there are some aspects that are now growing into resentment. With Peter, I think you had an interesting one because you actually enjoyed the first season. Now you hate this show.
I think that I kind of went into it because we talked about it when we were talking about with Clone Wars and stuff. I went into it with knowing that things were gonna be set up for other shows, and like the whole Ahsoka thing, but then everything that we feared was going to happen happened. And
That's
it just,
literally
like...
what it was the whole season. But it's honestly, I don't know. I think I cursed Star Wars because literally everything I didn't want to happen with episode 9 is like word for word exactly what happened. The only thing that didn't happen was Jabba the Hutt Jr.'s son is coming in. But I'm sure we'll get to that at some point in The Mandalorian. Or the spinoff with the Boba the Fett spinoff that they're doing.
Boba the Fett.
Boba
the Fett, sorry. No, like I didn't like the first season, but I just walked away going like, okay, I enjoyed some of it. I think they kind of weren't sure of what they were doing, and it was really mixed.
Mm-hmm. Still feels.
But I really liked the first 3 episodes. The next 2 were real throwaway, and then the ending was kind of. I think it would have been good if it had actually been built up, but it wasn't. So it's kind of wishy-washy for me. But again, it's like there's characters here, there's stuff here that you could maybe do something with. And then season 2 is just everything I've come to loathe about Star Wars and Star Wars fans. And God, I don't want to attack him because he's a real nice guy and all that. But man, fuck Jon Favreau. Because I knew this is what was going to happen. I don't like Jon Favreau's movies. I've just come to realize this. Like, I just don't. His Lion King was the worst film I've ever seen in a movie theater. It was just god-awful. The first Iron Man is good, it's solid, but it's not this, like, revolutionary film. Like, even his good films are, like, they're good, but there's...
I like his cooking one. That one's nice.
Oh, I never saw Chef. I'll say this. I've never
God.
seen Chef. And I think Chef, everyone says that's, like, his best film. So that's a caveat. But, like, there's a reason why Disney loves Jon Favreau, because I feel like he indulges in every shitty thing that I hate about modern blockbuster movie making, and it was just on display for the entire season. And yeah, I mean,
can I just say real quick though? And no, with Jon Favreau, this is the weird thing. I could not agree with you more with how he indulges in every like shitty Star Wars fan's wet dream and then pushes them on the screen and everything. And also, I also couldn't agree with you more, you know, in terms of how overrated that man is. And I like his movies.
I do too.
And I'm going to put
some of them.
I'm going to put an asterisk to this. I don't think he is one of the great filmmakers of our time. I think he does make not interesting. He makes fairly decent movies that I happen to enjoy. I'll give you examples. I love Chef. I think that was his best work.
Okay.
Kyle loves Chef. Alexa seemed to really enjoy Chef. So that's my favorite of his movies. I think Iron Man's great. I'll say it. I think it's great. You may say it's good. I think it's great. I think it's one of the best edited movies.
I think that's what it is, though. Like it's, as far as filmmaking goes and stuff, like it's just really, really solid. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like it's your typical. It's the Marvel formula perfected. Like all those beats hit really well, but it's not like.
It's not groundbreaking.
Yeah, I'll put it that way.
That's what's missing there. And I think a lot of people want to put that name to his resume, and I wouldn't go there. I'm a sucker for some of his, like, I guess, not so great movies. I moderately enjoyed Cowboys and Aliens. I think that's what it was called.
Oh, God, I forgot he made that.
yeah, I didn't hate it. It was a guilty pleasure of mine. I liked Zathura, surprisingly enough, from way back when. Yeah, I liked Zathura. I enjoyed The Jungle Book, although I don't care for live action remake as a principle, but that was There were parts of it
Mm-hmm.
where they were enjoyable, but man, did the bottom fall out with The Lion King. I mean, Peter, you put you hit the nail on the head when you said it was the worst movie I've ever seen in a movie theater.
I hate that film.
It is. I hated myself. That's the first time I hated myself for going to watch a movie in a theater. And I cannot believe how many people just conveniently gave him a pass for that.
Yeah, they don't bring it up. They either don't bring it up or they love it, which is like, okay.
So like Favreau's been on a downward trajectory since then. And then, well, actually, I guess some people would say since Iron Man 2. I forgot that movie existed for a minute. Sorry.
Yeah.
I enjoy Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I'm one of those that enjoys Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I enjoy it, but it's not really that good at the end of the day. But there's some good moments in it. Overall, it's not that tight of a film or good of a film. But with The Mandalorian, okay, Favreau, I see what you're doing here. I'm tired of this. And it couldn't have come at a worse time because I don't want to. I don't know if this is too early to insert this yet, and let's not do this yet. I think we'll have plenty of time to talk about the movies whose name should not be mentioned at that moment. But the Mandalorian just coming out at a really difficult time. For fans, an unfortunate time, I meant to say, to use it as a weapon against something else, and that really pisses me the fuck off. And then, of course, indulging in all these shitty takes. Can I just say, I know I've been going off and about, but we're going to get into the season right now. But the easiest way to describe what this show is, remember a few years ago when a whole bunch of Star Wars fans were crying, they were screaming at the top of their lungs because Disney announced that all of the expanded universe, the EU, was now going to be called Legends and it wasn't going to be the focus of the new trilogy? And I remember very clearly saying, you just wait. I know this Filoni guy. He is going to insert as many of those things eventually as possible. And let me be clear, at that point, I would have been one of those people that was for that. At that point in my quote-unquote Star Wars journey.
I never was. I'll make that clear.
Okay, sure. We can make it clear. But putting that to the side, this is what that show is. It's the EU. It's the expanded universe. It's the Legends. It's all that crap. And it's crap.
Can I go on a tangent for a little bit?
That's why I stopped talking, Peter.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Miss Moreno?
Yes. This is what we're expecting.
Okay. Well, it's just because I feel like we're coming out hard, and I don't feel like I fully explained why I hate the things I hate in regards to Star Wars and what exactly I hate. So I feel like I have to explain what I love about Star Wars first to kind of make that make sense. And I've said this, I think, to you, Mr. Alexis, before about describing how I view Star Wars. So the way in which I view Star Wars is through the lens of that original trilogy. And to me, the original trilogy is this subversive whiz-bang fairy tale that happens to be set in space that has a lot of really interesting character and thematic stuff just beneath the surface, really just on top of the surface, because it's for kids, so it's very obvious. But there's little things about Star Wars that I always viewed one way, and it seems like all of the Star Wars fans viewed another. And, like, let's say one of them, which we've already brought up, so I'll just say it, like Boba Fett. You see the EU, and people treat Boba Fett like he was this missed opportunity because he's this ultimate badass, super awesome badass. Like, that's literally all they think of him. Like, literally, the idea of the Mandalorians rose up because people couldn't let him the fuck go that he died, and not, oh no, he's from a ultra badass warrior race that's all about being badass, and he actually crawled out of the pit using his super awesome oily muscles, and then he became king of Mandalore, and he had 50 wives because he's fucking badass, and it's like, uh, that's not Star Wars. That was never Star Wars. Star Wars would specifically shit on characters like that. Like the whole point is, and oh God, I've said this speech like 100 times. I don't know if I want to say it again. The whole thing about like those like badass violent characters in the original trilogy is that they suck, and they're not what the things they value are not the things that Star Wars itself values. That's the reason why every badass character dies like a bitch.
Yeah.
Darth Vader is, old man. He's supposed to be the biggest badass in the galaxy, but he's actually a broken old man in a robot suit, goes out like a bitch. Emperor, supposed to be the greatest evil the galaxy's ever seen. Old wrinkly man that just gets picked up and thrown into a ditch like a bitch. Jabba the Hutt, the biggest, baddest gangster in the galaxy, gets choked out by a princess in a bikini like a bitch. Boba the Fett goes out like, just...
Boba the Fett!
Boba the Fett. It's a thing now, okay? Leave me alone.
Boba the Fett!
Boba the Fett, okay? I'm gonna keep saying it if you keep reminding me. He gets eaten by the ground, and there's literally a comedic like burp afterwards. But there's also other key elements.
Wait, don't forget the stormtroopers being wiped out by little teddy bears.
Yes, the stormtroopers get wiped out by little teddy bears. And by the way, Star Wars fans had a problem with that at that time, but it's like, no, that's literally the fact that the greatest evil in the galaxy got taken down by cute little teddy bears is like the mission statement for all of Star Wars. Like, look at Yoda. They love Empire Strikes Back, but they never listen to the words that come out of Yoda's mouth when he's teaching Luke, and he's telling him all these things like, judge me by my size, do you? We are not this petty matter. It's not about like physical brute strength, being able to overpower and physically kill your enemies or physically overpower
having guns in your knees.
Yeah, like that's not what Star Wars is about, and this because there's so many, like all the things I just said, but there's other ways you can look at it. Like, look at the first lightsaber battle in the first ever Star Wars, A New Hope. I always talk about this. There's no like music throughout the entire encounter between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. Music only kicks up when Obi-Wan decides to sacrifice himself. And then that's when the triumphant music kicks up. Not because he overpowered and killed Darth Vader, but because it's a sacrifice. Mm-hmm. There is no triumphant music when Luke and Darth Vader battle. No matter how many kicks and flips, it's not about looking badass. It's about this, tense emotional shit between each other.
It's not about lifting rocks.
It's not about lifting rocks. And then the same thing happens at the end of Return of the Jedi. It's not badass and cool and awesome when Luke starts wailing on Darth Vader and he's able to overpower him physically. When he's able to overpower Darth Vader physically, that's when he's at his lowest. And the triumphant music doesn't kick in when he's at his highest. It doesn't kick in until then. And that point is when he throws away his lightsaber, right? And again, I'm going to bring it up. The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, I think, understood so much of this, and that's why I love it. But, like, it feels like immediately after the original trilogy, the EU just started taking hold, and the entire EU, to me, is just really shitty fan fiction. Most of it, not all of it, but most of it by people that just feel like they didn't understand the original trilogy. They took this complicated character in Luke who felt very human and just turned him into Superman. They gave him the personality of Superman. They took this nobody bounty hunter and Boba Fett who served his purpose and said, no, that's not right. He's supposed to be this anti-hero I don't know. They turned him into like Wolverine or something. Like character-wise, like it's fucking weird. They did it, and of course they did it again in The Mandalorian. And there's just so many things where it's like, Luke, they made sure to give him a super hot, super badass girlfriend. Because, like, what? Is he gay? And it's like, maybe there's a reason why the original Star Wars subverted, yes, I use the word subverted, a lot of the traditional tropes in the, the dashing hero gets the girl at the end of the day and da-da-da-da-da. And Luke isn't a dashing hero, and he doesn't get the girl because it's not about winning women as a prize type of thing. Like, people said The Last Jedi subverted expectations, but I think that's just kind of ingrained into the DNA of Star Wars. And so, because that's the way I view Star Wars, and that's what I love about Star Wars, to me, The Mandalorian is like the opposite of this. To me, it's a science fiction action universe that's all about lore and cameos and all these, what's the word that they use or that we use? Fan service. It's all about fan service and that kind of shit. And it's all about being badass. And again, you look at the group of characters in the original trilogy, none of them can be described that way. Like Luke, Leia, Han, Lando, even the droids are just like, what's so cool about them is they're kind of just like regular people. The droids aren't super killer badass droids. They're just droids,
Yeah.
They're as effective as a Roomba, basically. Basically, well, maybe R2, but C-3PO definitely. I mean R2's better, but C-3PO, yeah, Roomba. But that's kind of what also stood out to me about Star Wars. It's kind of about regular people in a way. But then you look at the Mandalorian cast, and everyone is. It might as well be like the opening of fucking Predator. When they have all those badasses in the jungle, like, I don't got time to bleed. Like it might. Well, actually, that would have been more interesting if they actually went all the way that way, but it's not. So again, at the end, it comes down to people wanted Marvel in Star Wars form. That's what it feels like, because every major change to Star Wars, specifically The Mandalorian, has just turned it into Marvel. At the end, his crew isn't like a regular Star Wars crew, it's the Avengers. There's stings at the end. It's all about action, fan service, and connecting to other characters. Not connecting to other characters, connecting to other media that's also Star Wars. And I talked about this a while ago with Marvel characters. There's this epidemic I feel in Marvel characters where everyone is just kind of okay. There's like a million characters and their character trait is just kind of nice. They're okay. They're just everyone's good guy-ish. And I feel like that's everyone they come across in The Mandalorian. Boba Fett immediately turns around and they're friends. What's her name? Mulan immediately turns around and they're friends. At the end of the day, everyone becomes friends, and it's fine because they form a badass team, and it's all about just seeing the badass team stab and shoot and kill, because that's what Star Wars is. Am I right? How long have we been going? That's kind of my rant. So there you go.
You sure you don't want to keep going? I was pretty riveted right there, because I think
everything you said is everything
Spot
we've
on.
been talking about.
Yeah, or and we couldn't even put it into the words that you did right there, but like, honestly, that just felt like such a weight was lifted off our shoulders for you just saying that, because that's kind of what I think we've been screaming to ourselves internally because, like, part of the experience of watching this show is, of course, the social media reaction that accompanies it every single week. And you hear this nowhere. No one comes close to talking about Star Wars the way that you do, honestly. And I happen, and you do, but I think a little bit more than you, Peter, that's fair to say, really love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You do too. I've said that twice. Just to be clear. Just to be perfectly clear, I'm not saying that you didn't like it at all. But I guess I'm not as critical as you are. But I understand there is a clear, distinct difference between what is the Marvel Cinematic Universe and what is Star Wars. And at no point did I ever want one to become like the other. And we saw this coming, I don't know how many miles away, that they were going to completely just MCU, take that approach and do, the Star Wars thing, which has already been confirmed because I think they confirmed at least 3 spin-offs of this show, and then there's going to be connections, and it's going to be the CW crossover verse, basically in Star Wars thing. And I think it worked for the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the most part. That can't be replicated across every single IP and franchise, nor should it. You're just homogenizing everything and making it all the exact same thing. The things that made, this Star Wars story special, I feel are highly lacking in the approach they're taking in the future with what they're taking with this show.
Yeah, to me, there's nothing I'm excited for in the future when it comes to Star Wars. Like, nothing. Like, they announced...
Taika Waititi's movie?
Fuck. Honestly, no. Because I already feel like Taika Waititi's... I don't know. They're going to make him do a Darth Maul movie or some shit.
What the fuck?
I'm not literally Darth Maul, but they're going to... It's the same... Look at Patty Jenkins. It's like... I'm not in love with Patty Jenkins films, but I like her. Like, I do. And the idea of giving Patty Jenkins a Star Wars film, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, what is she making? Rogue Squadron. I don't give 2 fucks about her movie now. Rogue Squadron. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing the same fucking shit. I'm tired of the Empire and then the Rebels and it's just like, just do something new. Move on
from that.
That's a theme we're going to be hearing a lot, right? I think we're only 40 some minutes, but we still got a lot of ground to cover. But that maybe
we haven't
actually talked about the show.
We haven't actually talked about it. This is just the prelude.
Move on. Yeah, it's a prelude, but it's like, I think that's an important message, is the inability of this franchise to move on. And quite frankly, I think we're in a similar space with a lot of Disney's. In Marvel, for the most part, they have a refusal to move on from, like, I guess, their main characters. Mm-hmm. I have high hopes for WandaVision, so stay tuned for that on Red Spotlight. We're going to be covering that show, and early reactions are promising, so we'll see about that. But in the case with Star Wars, I mean, this is the conversation we were having, of course, as a prelude to the prelude, months before, when we heard all of these rumors of these characters from all these different, parts of the universe coming on to the show. And it's interesting that for the most part, there has been, as we've expected, joy and adulation for all of these characters coming in, like the character, the legacy character of the week. I've noticed very, very muted, subtle, like a prick pushback of this from some people who are self-affirmed fans of it, that are a little concerned about all of this tying in and everything, but for the most part remain on board. So there's a little bit of pushback in that area, but for the most part, I just think we should be honest with ourselves. And Peter, if I may be so bold, but to ask you to, on your phone, pull up that poll you shared with me, I believe the day before today, because in many respects, whether it comes to Star Wars fans or when it comes to Marvel fans, and I think maybe I speak for both Alexis and Peter at this point, I'm increasingly just out of step with what they're looking for out of content. And what really upsets me is I used to be one of these people that was so obsessed with, canonical Star Wars and like, was brushing up on the history of all of the things in the universe and like, but at a certain point, I just after the whole Last Jedi thing, I kind of really was ashamed that I ever was like that, because so many people take that to an extremist degree, not only in terms of like, the hate you see on social media, but then also the demands and what they really want out of a story. And across the board, I hate this mentality that that you have to measure quality based on how many references and cameo appearances you can jam pack if you're in a universe. Like the only thing that matters to these people is the fact that they know a character from something else in this universe, and that automatically validates this particular content. And I can't tell you how much I fucking hate that, because that's not story. That's not quality. And yeah. Do you have that thing I asked you?
Oh, are you talking about the Grace Randolph Twitter poll?
Yeah, because that's what I know. I mean, I don't know why we keep mentioning her name and we don't want to use her as an actual source here, but I thought what she asked her followers to say to the question she asked, I found that to be revealing and I think relevant in the talking point that I'm having.
I mean, I like Grace Randolph. I think she's quite the character.
She's hilarious.
Oh, this was over WandaVision, but I mean, I think it's indicative of, like you said, a lot of things. She asked to you, what are you hoping to get the most out of WandaVision? 1, character development. 2, something different. 3, world building. 4, action for Wanda finally. Guess which one was number 1?
World building?
World building. Guess which one was last?
Something different?
Character development.
Can you break down exactly how they were, the percentages?
To be fair, they're all kind of even. But number 1 was MCU world building at 28%. Number 2 was action for Wanda at 26%. So world building and action, the two most important things.
That's over 50%.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, something different at 25%, and character development last at 22%. But this is telling to me because I feel like the Mandalorian was 90% world building and action.
They were setting up the spin-off shows. That's what the season was. They were just spinning off the Boba the Fett. I'm gonna just steal it off yours. Boba the Fett, the book of Boba the Fett, the Rangers of the New Republic, and the Ahsoka TV show. That's all it was, basically.
Well, that is 100% what it was. And the thing is, whenever these characters would interact, whenever the Mandalorian would interact, like 90% of the time, it was just... it was kind of similar to The Rise of Skywalker, where it's like, I need to get here. I'm talking to this person. Oh, yeah, to get this, you need to do this for me. So I need to kill the Jaxlabar in order to get the location of the next Jedi. Yes, like that's the majority of the characters' interaction. It's just talking about how they are going to continue to move the plot along by action and a shit ton of fan service. I feel like me and Mr. Alexis have been talking too much. Ms. Moreno, is there stuff you want to jump in and say and add?
I mean, everything that you guys are saying, I agree. It just sucks. Like, I hate it because the characters that they introduce, like, I do love and care for them, but I don't need to see them this way. don't know, like
not like this.
Yeah, I don't know, like there's so many things that like piss me off that I can't put it into words because it's all just I think the thing that I hate the most is that the people that scream and shout the most hatred are the ones that are being given the treat. You know what I mean?
They're being rewarded
Yes.
for their like hatred, basically.
Yes.
And again, that isn't to suggest that all Star Wars fans are like this, or maybe not even half. I think it could be a vocal minority, but they're the ones, like you said, are the ones that are screaming and shouting the most, and they keep getting rewarded by Favreau and Filoni.
I think, though, the nasty ones are a vocal minority.
Yes.
But I think the people that enjoy this type of Star Wars
are a majority.
Is the majority, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's why, and this is me being nice for just 1 second, seeing people that, not the nasty ones, the regular people, genuinely love and enjoy The Mandalorian, that makes me happy, you know.
If
awesome.
You're happy with this and you like this, you know what? I'm jealous that you're able to like this, you're able to enjoy this. Good for you, man.
My anger isn't towards people enjoying it.
It makes me confused.
No, it makes me confused too.
It makes me so confused because I just don't understand why I don't know, like, why do you want to see these characters over and over and over again doing the same shit, knowing how their story is going to end, and not see any new characters and new stories, new developments, and, like, that is also world building, but it's just new, like, more things to add on to, like, this thing. I just don't understand.
Like, if we're gonna break down all the cameo characters, I don't know, I guess it's not cameo, but just, like, the fan service characters, like, Bo-Katan, Bo the Katan. Bo the Katan.
Christ.
If I actually really liked her character back in the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was neat. I just think they're neat. But ever since then, she's been like a robot, just sort of repeating the same phrases and saying the same things in Star Wars time for like 30 years?
Mm-hmm.
At least
40
30
years? I think 40 years by the time of The Mandalorian. I don't know, like a massive amount of time. From the Clone Wars to The Mandalorian. Like after the end of the Clone Wars, her character just became, we need to take back Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
I am a badass Mandalore warrior, and we need to take back Mandalore. And there's literally nothing else to her as a character or anything. Like, she shows up, says and does the same motivation that she's had. It honestly, and this is why it feels like literally just action figures, because it feels like, you know, when you pull the string and they have the lines that they've prepared to say, that's what all these characters feel like. Like they show up, they pull the string, they say the same old lines, talking about the same shit. And then that's it. They show up, say those lines, do action, and then leave. Yeah. And then that's it. You don't do anything with the character.
But, like, going even kind of a little bit deeper than that, like, I found her story to be very interesting. Like, she's somebody that was high up in the rank, like, you know, I guess in politics, I don't know.
She's the heir,
in her world.
Heiress.
And she lost everything. And that was one of the consequences to, you know, Star Wars. And it's like, why do you need to change that? Like, that's already a good story.
I guess that's exactly right, Alexis. What you are touching on, and what I was thinking of is, okay, well, I think what I would like to see, if you're going to have Bo-Katan in a story, I would have liked to have seen maybe a different version of her where she's kind of just given up on life and just
like
moved on with her
deal with
life.
the consequences of what happened.
Because she's tried so many times.
The same shit. Like
she's trying. Because I think they act as if like this isn't
no
like the
time
third
has
or fourth.
passed.
Well, exactly. But this is like the third or fourth time that she's lost the fucking planet, right? At least, like, honestly,
She's
and like you think
shit
at
at
some
taking
point
care
she'd
of
be
that planet.
right. Like you think at some point she'd be like disillusioned and ready to like give up and move on, and maybe like they could have had a story
change
here.
tactics.
They could have had a story here where a really interesting story with her character where she's in a different place and they have somebody else like convince her. Like there's interesting ways that you could have told this story. And she's just the same character that she's been for 30 years. And that's boring.
Yeah.
But they want that. We always go back to that iconic fucking Photoshop of the original trilogy characters looking exact like Luke, badass Jedi, and then Han and Leia, and they're just looking and they're together. They're doing the same shit from the original trilogy, and it's like, this is what the fans wanted. Why couldn't you listen, Lucasfilm? And I'm like, if I saw that, that's depressing. Like, their life has not moved in any direction since then. Like, the most interesting things to me. They peaked in the first movie. It's no going back. They're like Dennis Reynolds. They peaked in high school. But like look at specifically Han Solo's character. I don't love The Force Awakens or even Han Solo in that movie especially, but the stuff that I do love about him and his character in that movie is the stuff where he struggles with kind of failing as a dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's interesting. Like,
and he sacrificed himself for his son in the end.
Yes. Like, that's new, interesting stuff to do with the character. And then, of course, Last Jedi, love it. You know, everything with Luke. But then there's also interesting stuff with Leia, where she it's this kind of reflection where it's like, she's been at war her whole life. Mm-hmm. And the way it kind of weighs on, and she's always been like the like first one to go like rah rebel, and for her to feel that sort of weight, you know, that's interesting. That's
I'm
something
glad you
to
mentioned
do with
that, and I don't mean to derail you, but I wanted to bring this up because I recently rewatched that at least twice. Last Jedi again. I love that movie so much, honestly. But like one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And honestly, Carrie Fisher turned in the best performance of her career, at least with Leia in that movie. She did such an amazing job. But when they're evacuating the Rebel command ship in that part of the movie, right? And Haldo tells her that she's staying behind. And the look on her face and the delivery when she says, too many losses, I can't take too many more. Like, you feel for her in that moment. Like Rian Johnson just knew exactly what to say and do with these characters, man. I'm sorry to have to like insert his name, I guess, here, but like
who shall not be named.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like people, I think I don't know. Like you're right, basically, with that moment, and I agree with you with your point. Continue with what you were saying about the characters and everything.
But yeah, and you know what? Like, not just to make this, I don't know, a love fest for Rian Johnson, but I know we obviously feel differently about Rebels, but we all feel the same about Clone Wars. And I think they did a lot of really great character stuff in Clone Wars. You know, that's the reason why I liked Bo-Katan's character. That's the reason why I liked Ahsoka's character. Yes. Ahsoka feels very similar to me, and it's in that, like, after the Clone Wars, she's kind of there. Like, I don't know. The same thing happened. Like, Ahsoka shows up, she says Ahsoka lines, although even I would argue with that some of her lines do not make sense for who her character is and where she should be. If
anything came close to really like, I wouldn't say hate, but I think I was just legitimately confused by a lot of the lines that they gave her. And it's not as like this is a case where they have a new writer. Dave Filoni is writing these dialogue lines, and like she was saying something about like attachments, and I guess some people were trying to make sense of it. I don't know. I need to see more to see what the hell he was trying to say. I personally feel that they couldn't, they had to come up with like a reason for her not to train the damn thing and give him, eventually to Luke. So they had to write some kind of phony, bogus bullshit. But like, nevertheless, it just came off as not her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Rosario Dawson as her.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely a good fit, but like, they did nothing with the character. She showed up, stabbed people, said
absolutely
lines.
Nothing. And people
And
ate that shit up.
That was the week. That was the week where, like, honestly, I think all of us were just, in an utter loss of words, because everyone kept saying like,
this
man,
is the
Ahsoka's the best character
ever on Earth, in the universe, galaxy. Like,
yeah,
how?
The action wasn't even that good.
And it was praising Ahsoka as like this, like the next big female icon of her era. And I'm like, if you didn't know anything about Ahsoka before this episode, why would you care about that character based on this episode of The Mandalorian?
There was nothing to her character.
And it wasn't a character.
I feel bad for the people who saw her for the first time here, because this isn't even her worst. Like, I don't even know. Like, she was just there. Like, she did absolutely nothing.
Do you want to know Ahsoka? Go watch the 2008 Clone Wars movie they did.
Yes. Literally. Like, not even the ending to Clone Wars. Just watch her beginning. Like, that's why people love her, not for this crap.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm obviously against this whole thing of like, we can't move on in Star Wars. We have to just keep with the same fucking characters and the same situations with the same enemies. And it's like, okay, fine. If you do interesting stuff, I'll at least be there and be like, oh, this is neat. This is cool. Again, original Clone Wars series. I really enjoy it. This stuff with Bill Burr, and it's like they're doing the same old shit, but it's like, oh, this is interesting character stuff. This neato, cool.
Peter, let me add in. I know we feel differently about overall Star Wars Rebels, but I think you and I at least can agree on season 1, Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah,
I've been rewatching that with Blind Wave. There's a great reaction channel that I watch. When they're, reacting to TV shows, and they're getting on Star Wars Rebels. And what really surprised me, because I hadn't thought of it that way, because I think I was watching it at the same time that Mandalorian was airing the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
From the pilot of Star Wars Rebels, it is crazy to me how in the pilot of Star Wars Rebels, the sense of character and, honestly, authenticity of those characters as people that you get, and the chemistry that you get between that core dynamic, blows anything the Mandalorian ever did out of the water.
Because you don't know any of these characters. Still, it is the end of the second season, and I have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah, you notice we haven't even talked about the main characters of the fucking show. Like, if we're gonna talk about,
before we do that, there's one thing that I do want to mention. I think I've mentioned it before in a different podcast, but this is just like my own thing. I find it very rude that they announced an Ahsoka show that is live action. I am very offended.
For the animation people, or what?
Yeah. Wait, what?
Well, who are you offended for? What? Why?
I'm just personally offended because I was very much looking forward to this show. And, Ashley Eckstein is a big reason why I love Ahsoka. Because I think, she is that character. And even, like, in her personal life, I love everything that she does. And I just feel like they took that away from her.
I don't know if you listened to that part, Peter, but like Alexis, when I think we were doing...
Did she do a rant? I don't think I heard it.
Well, it was, I want to say it was Fantasy Fair, when we talked about all the latest Disney Plus announcements, but we did a pretty extensive coverage of it back in...
You might like that one.
I want to say April or May, right? Because we thought the Ahsoka show was going to be animated.
I didn't think
show, that. The show. No, not that. Remember the show we talked about? Ahsoka, Sabine, and Rex heading off to the unknown regions to find Thrawn and Ezra, and we talked about a whole bunch of rumors about designs and concepts for that show. That show is basically the Ahsoka live action series.
I think that's not true.
I hope you're right.
I hope so too.
I don't think that's true.
Because they're not doing the Ahsoka show. Else.
They didn't announce the animated show.
No.
Then they're not doing it yet, but I'm pretty sure that the live action Ahsoka show is supposed to take place from The Mandalorian till she shows up at the end of Rebels, and she tells Sabine, "Hey, let's head out."
Yeah, they're looking for Thrawn and Ezra.
Yeah, but that animated show that we talked about wasn't supposed. It was supposed to be after that, after Sabine and them run off. But this live action Ahsoka show is supposed to end right at that moment. You know the end of Rebels when Ahsoka shows up?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that seem like that happens right at the end of Return of the Jedi?
It does.
Not anymore. Retcons galore.
Yeah, Filoni retconned it.
Yeah, Filoni, they won't say it's a retcon, but it's a fucking retcon that now that happens, I guess, at least 5 years later. Because isn't that when The Mandalorian takes place? Is it 5 years? Or it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi?
I think an interview I read said that this episode that she was in The Mandalorian takes place before that last scene in Rebels.
Yes. So I'm telling you, the live action series will take place in between The Mandalorian and the end of Rebels. I guarantee you the show it's gonna show you how she found how she found the whereabouts of
Thrawn and Ezra. Yeah.
Thrawn and Ezra. And then the animated show will pick up right after that.
From your lips to God's ears. Let me just say that right now, because, and I think this may be a side tangent, but there is a disconnect, and this may be just because of who's in charge, but I don't know. Filoni, I loved his work on the Clone Wars and Rebels, legitimately, heartfelt. And there's just something about this show that it doesn't feel like that. If like the live action version of what the Star Wars shows that I was accustomed to with Clone Wars and Rebels, they feel less real than the animated ones do. There's less life to this than the animated shows. It's also smaller and more limited and not as fun. But you would
think they would use that small, limited money and scale and do some character work. But instead, they say, fuck any of that and just double down on the action and the fan service. Which, I mean, it seems to work with people, so why not? Yeah, no, I genuinely feel it's going to happen that way. Will that make you feel better about the live action show?
It'll give us something to look
It'll give
to.
us something, to be honest. But
I guarantee you that's what it is.
Personally, I don't think that's what's going to happen. But
who has been accurate this entire time when it comes to their predictions on fucking Disney, Star Wars, and their stupid moves? Well, I predicted the end of this fucking season. I didn't.
That one's not that hard, though.
Then why was everyone shocked?
Peter, you have...
We didn't want it to happen.
You have, Peter, a pretty awesome track record at getting some shit right. You think more so than any of us. Although you didn't predict that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would get, I don't know, 5 mentions in best of 2020 television lists and 5 publications at the end of the year. So I don't know about that. You didn't predict that at all. So.
We'll just go back and cut this part out in editing.
Who's doing the editing?
Specific moment.
Who's doing the editing?
I don't know. We have a slave do it. I don't know.
Then I guess the slave will say that it stays in.
Well, we'll see.
That's one record against you. The point is, though, I don't want to harp on this too much, but I know that Alexis and I were especially pissed off because not to say that we are excited or even caring all that much about what they're doing with the Bad Batch animated show, but the animation itself looks so beautiful that it's the perfect medium for that show that Peter, you and I discussed months ago.
It's so funny to me because I remember when this show, when the original Clone Wars came out, and everyone bitched about the animation, and they called it ugly.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the big things. I didn't even
watch the show then, and I remember that.
I remember that. So it's just, I don't know, it's just funny to me. I mean, the animation is well done, but it's... I don't know. I didn't even care about Rebels. I had my feelings about that last season of Clone Wars. And it's just... my patience is just so out. Like, completely exhausted from everything Star Wars.
Oh, just to be clear, your issues were basically not the season, not necessarily the last 4 episodes, right?
No, I thought they were good, but I guess that's my thing. Like my patience is just so out when it comes to Star Wars. Star Wars needs to be amazing, or it just needs to not exist at all.
I think we're so far removed from good, though, at this point. What we're talking about at this level, right? Because is there anything else we should say about Ahsoka or Bo-Katan, or have we kind of exhausted those characters here?
I'll say this, and this might piss you guys off. I'm just kind of I'm no longer interested in the trajectory of Ahsoka's character.
Well, because they're not really doing anything.
Yeah,
she's just kind of been meandering since Rebels,
right?
Like,
which is why I want to see a show that actually focuses her as the main character and gives her something else to do. But in all these other things, she hasn't been given much of anything to do. So I would like to see an Ahsoka story where they do focus on her. But
like,
yeah,
I'll be honest. Why does she give so much of a shit about Ezra? Why does she give so much of a shit about Thrawn either? Like, I would just kind of assume they're dead and then move on with maybe trying to save the galaxy that was very much in danger at the time that she was fucking around. But okay.
There's so much we don't know at this point, and I would like to see that story, right? So I guess if we're going to get it, we're going to see it there. But at the same time, yeah, it when you're comparing what we got here to other parts, I guess to me, I'll save this for later on. Okay, let's move on to something else here. So, you were saying?
I wanted to move on to, I mean, we probably should an hour and 15 in, the main characters of the show. The Mandalorian and the baby Yoda, Grogu. Grogu's a baby Yoda name, I would say.
Baby Grogu, yeah.
But I like Baby Yoda better. I think it's so much more fun. It's more fun to say.
Yep. I feel as though I can't really say much because they didn't really show much. They were there. Baby Yoda got stolen.
Several times in the series.
Yeah. Mandalorian guy was upset, although he was trying to get rid of him the whole time. But yeah, they don't do anything with these characters. So yeah.
Mr. Soto?
I still can't even remember what his name is.
They said his name, didn't they?
Jindaro?
Oh yeah, Din
Djarin?
Donnie Darko?
Pedro Pascal.
Imagine they just gave him his real name. Pedro Pascal. That'd be pretty funny.
I it can't even be like a long conversation because they don't do anything.
Well, I mean, I have a long tirade I can go into again when it comes to this.
Hey, I mean, we're by all means.
Remember when they originally pitched this show? At least what it seemed like to me was, and the reason why I was kind of like, I know the people involved. I'm so fucking done with Mandalorians in general at this point. But this is why I'm open to it. And it was this whole idea of the darker, seedier side of Star Wars that's more, more a little bit more serious, but it's, sort of more morally ambiguous characters.
Real quick,
And I
that's
thought,
kind of like how that tone
mhm.
resembles most that show that's been rumored for decades at this point that George Lucas was going to do called Star Wars Underworld. Remember that thing?
Oh yeah, I remember that. And then they even had the video game Star Wars. What was it, 1818 or something like that. But yeah, that kind of interested to me. And when I think of the best character stuff, and this is the reason why I like the first 3 episodes, I think it's in those first 3 episodes, specifically episode 2. And I actually didn't care that much for episode 2, but on a rewatch, I was like, okay, there's more going on here that I think is a little bit interesting character-wise. So, because, that's the second when... That's the episode that he's trying to escape another desert planet with Baby Yoda, and his ship gets torn apart by the Ewoks, and what basically happens is he needs to... Jawas, sorry. Jawas.
I think we should clarify because considering our rhetoric, we already have enough Star Wars fans on our ass. We should just at least make sure we have the right names.
Jawas.
Oh my god.
The Jawas. But it's this whole thing of he kind of makes a deal with the devil being the Jawas, to get his ship back. He needs to go and steal this egg. And when he steals the egg, he gives it to the Jawas, and they immediately destroy the egg and eat it. And that's kind of a larger... what's the word? It's sort of a representation of what he is going to do with Baby Yoda. And visually you can see that because Baby Yoda is in this egg, and he's basically going to take Baby Yoda representing the egg and give him to these bad people. And he might be able to sleep at night saying he doesn't know what he's going to do with them, but he knows that it won't be good. And what's really, you have these interesting, what makes it interesting is that sort of moral ambiguity with the character of the Mandalorian at that point. And then also, what's his name? The Ugnaught that was helping him.
Queel.
Because Queel seems like this really cool, nice dude. And then at the end of the episode, it's sort of triumphant. They're together, somewhat heroic. They're able to fix the ship and then go on their way. And then at the very end, he tells him, may may the baby bring you great fortune. May your bounty bring you great fortune. And then right when he says that, the music, doom, doom, like the sort of sinister theme pops in, kind of letting you know, like, oh yeah, like he's gonna sell this fucking baby.
Oh, Peter, you just reminded me another positive about this show. I love the theme song.
The song is good. Every time it pops in. Doom, doom,
That's good.
You can put that in the positive column. There you go.
But that's kind of a positive from the first season. I don't know if you could carry on that positive to the second season.
There aren't any positive. Well, yeah, you know what I'm. There's barely any at all. In general. But continue with what you were saying.
Yeah. But I guess it's like, okay, the Mandalorian himself is this morally ambiguous character where, you know, maybe he'll protect this baby, but he'll also do some sort of nasty stuff that no other Star Wars hero would do. And that could keep you on the toes and can lead to some interesting characterization. But the second that the third episode ends, the Mandalorian is just good guy, McGood guy. Everyone he meets, he's just like, I'll help you. He's nice to everyone. He never backstabs anyone. He never does anything wrong. He always tries to save everyone. He's just good guy. There's nothing to him as a character that makes him interesting. I guess you can try and say his relationship with Baby Yoda, but his relationship with Baby Yoda isn't really that interesting, and it isn't really delved into that much. Like,
that's why when people keep saying throughout the seasons of these 2 seasons, especially with this season 2, when I keep looking at reactions online and then hearing people talk about this show, and in particular what they love about most is the relationship between Grogu and Din Djarin, I ask, am I missing something here? Because there really is nothing there besides, oh, this is, I guess, a surrogate father and it's a surrogate son, but they have no interaction. I guess they look at each other, but there's
no real growth.
There's some scenes, I guess, in this season where they were kind of cute, where he kind of talks at it. But again, there's no it's a baby, right? So you can't really have much of a growth with a baby there. So I feel like, and I feel shitty saying this because I myself have fallen victim to doing this as well, but I feel like a lot of people are projecting onto the show that just isn't doing a competent job of doing the thing they think it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the show, again, the vast majority of the show is the Mandalorian doing the mission that he's been given, like a fucking video game. You know, the show starts, he meets the first NPC, and then they say, like, oh, in order to, you know, to get the armor, you have to collect all 500 eggs hidden in the game world. And he usually hoists Baby Yoda off on someone, or...
That is true, he's not even there with him.
Yeah, a lot of the time he's not even there with him, and even when he is with him, he's not really interacting with him. It's just the Mandalorian doing shit, and then Baby Yoda acting cute on the side. Like, there's only a very tiny handful of moments where I could say, like, this is kind of character, you know, growth.
Yeah.
Or not even character growth, just bonding between the two of them. But for the most part, it's mostly just insinuated that, like, well, yeah, of course they, you know, they're together and da-da-da-da-da. And it's just weird where you have the first episode of The Mandalorian where he's sort of portrayed as this, again, morally ambiguous character. To at the drop of the dime, he's the nicest nice guy, and he'll do anything for his poor little baby. And it's like, at least let the characters remain somewhat interesting. And I knew they were going to do this because this is the level of writing with this show, is maybe have the Boba Fett be like somewhat of an adversary at first, like keep it interesting, because Boba Fett was a bad guy, but he's too much of a badass to remain a bad guy. So the second he shows up, and he really does just show up out of nowhere in like the third to last episode, he does a fight scene, and then they're like, it's literally fucking Predator, the whole like, you son of a bitch, and then they do the arm grab to each other to show their flexes, and they're like, all right, I'm part of Team Mandalorian. The Avengers. I mean, not the Avengers. and it's, and it really made me go like, I mean, I said this before the show even premiered, but especially once they introduced Boba Fett, why was this even called The Mandalorian? Why didn't you just make this the Boba Fett show? Because The Mandalorian and the Boba Fett have the same fucking personality.
Like, yeah.
They're the same character. There's this moment, I think, in that episode with Bill Burr, which is right after when Boba has his big like premiere, right? And the episode starts with them picking up Bill Burr, and you see Din Djarin and then Boba Fett walking together side by side. And I was just laughing to myself because can no one understand how fucking redundant it is to have the exact same character that looks exactly the same just standing next to each other?
And not only that, but like acts the same and speaks the same, and they're the same fucking character. And again, I don't want to throw this at like, I think I told you this, like, it's kind of, I don't want to throw this at Dave Filoni because it was obviously Jon Favreau, but Jon Favreau did get most of his influence, I think, from Dave Filoni.
This isn't the first time that Filoni has been involved in a project that has basically cloned a Star Wars character that's, you know, and then like with Darth Maul and Savage Opress.
Yes, it's Savage Opress. It's like, you know, at the end, they really wanted to start with this character, but for some reason they couldn't or just didn't. So they created a whole other character that's literally just the same character. And they did that with Savage
and
Opress.
IG whatever that's
yes, IG-88 and IG-11. Like, it's the same. Like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we even pretending like there's, oh no, it's a different character. That one was IG-88. This is IG-11. Okay. Shut the fuck up. But yeah, to me, I don't know how you can sit there and like go ballistic on Rey and her character and say how terrible it is, but then unironically like love the fuck out of The Mandalorian. And by the way, I love Pedro Pascal. Like, I love him. He's fucking awesome. I just give him something.
Yeah.
Give him anything. I guarantee you give him a sliver, he will run with it and give you something awesome.
I don't understand why, not to like bring Ahsoka back up, but that part where she can communicate with him, why couldn't they just do that with them? Like, I'm sure it would have been believable if, like, you know, they somehow, like, touched each other and, like, ooh, like, you could hear my thoughts or some shit like that.
You know what would have...
You know, to have some type of connection, I don't know.
You know what would have fixed it? Not make the character a fucking Yoda species.
No, but, like, you know, that's what they did. And I'm saying,
but that's what I mean. When they make stupid decisions, like, why? What was the point? I know the only reason they made it a Yoda species is because it's like, oh, it'll get the fans talking. But if you had just made it in an original alien character, instead of growing at the pace of like 100 years, I don't know, live to 800, 900, it could have, the baby character could have grown within the time period of the show, and you could have seen like it learn and there's this back and forth between them as the baby grows. But no, it had to be a Yoda, so we just get nothing. And you say like, well, couldn't they have done the like telepathic? It's probably just, you know, Force being able to read his mind. But that actually made it weirder for me when we got to that point in the episode, because
Yeah,
up
I know
until-
what you're
and-
about to say, and it.
yeah, we had talked about this, because up until this point, they make it seem as if Grogu is like a baby, like maybe a few months old, like he's not really able to communicate or anything. But then Ahsoka shows up, and it's like this mind reading, and it turns out like he's
like 40.
You could- no, but not just age wise, but like mentally, he's like, oh yeah, he hasn't shown his force powers to hide it. Babies don't think that way. They don't think that far ahead. You acted like this little shit was a baby. It's not acting like a baby. It's acting like it's at most like 9 or 10 or some shit. And then at the Boba Fett episode, when they're in I don't know, San Diego or somewhere, let's be real, that's where they were at. They're in LA or somewhere. The galactic planet of LA. The baby literally
Again, I love how these fans who love that episode do not mention how ridiculous that setting was at all. They don't.
I'll be honest, I kind of loved it just because I'm a Californian. So I was like, the wild planet of California.
Can we just like talk about that episode, because
but yeah, yes, I want to as well.
Quick.
But we go finish with that baby thing, because it is weird.
It's weird. He's supposed to be a baby, but he's doing a perfect like crisscross applesauce namaste Yoda pose. Not yoga, not Yoda pose, yoga pose.
Oh my god.
And it's this thing of like
crisscross.
He's a baby. He should not be able to do any of this. But that tells you they wrote themselves into a corner by making him the Yoda species.
Mm-hmm.
If they had just made it any other, even a fucking human baby, but just any other species, like an original alien species, to keep it interesting, you could have seen the baby grow, and then it would have made more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it had to be a Yoda because, I mean, they're right. It sells toys.
To finish this thing with the
nostalgia.
baby,
It's cute.
I think the point's been made, and I agree with you, and so does Alexis. And the rest of the world doesn't at all, because they're too busy oohing and awing at it. The thing is, though, to the end point of Baby Grogu with season 2, did they write him off the show permanently then?
Oh, yeah. That's what I was wondering.
I had a conversation with Kyle. He likes the show much more than we do. He is of the mind that I want that baby to come back, because that's kind of what I'm watching for.
That felt like that was the whole conceit of the show, right?
Yeah. So, like, I think that got lost in the shuffle, because there were a lot of other things in that episode that rated a lot more conversation.
Yeah.
But that's like, are we done with that character?
I don't know. Because this was the whole point of the show.
Oh, you know what they're gonna fucking do? Oh my god.
They're gonna visit the Jedi Temple.
I was gonna say they're gonna somehow tie it into the prequel series and bring him back, but like later on, possibly in a different show.
Oh, for sure, Baby Yoda's gonna be in other shows.
God.
For sure.
Well, we should say that there's been
Ahsoka
rumors
will
of
probably run into Luke,
right,
and then she'll see Baby Grogu and be like, "Oh, I guess you found your Jedi Master after all."
There have been rumblings of a Luke Skywalker show, and I don't want to get to Luke right now, because there's a lot more later on in the episode. But that's kind of is the big question, at least for me, is like, is the baby done with the show? And so, what does the show become in the next couple of seasons?
They didn't set up anything for him.
Yeah, his whole mission from the very beginning has been Grogu. So they can't. Oh, I don't know. I don't think they can possibly I don't know.
I have an idea.
They obviously have. This is the first time where it's like I don't know.
I think I have. Well, did you guys not watch that last episode at all?
The last 5 minutes.
Okay, because back to Jaren, whatever his name is, right?
They did set up stuff for him. I'm sorry. It's the whole Mandalorian shit with...
I think he's being set up as the savior of Mandalore.
Yeah,
he's gonna go take back Mandalore because...
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me explain. So
No. I predicted this in the first season.
I know you did. But let me explain what happens. That way people who are listening are caught up on what happens. So
I didn't watch it, but I know what happens. I'm sorry.
In the episode that Bo-Katan was introduced, they have a back and forth. She calls him a religious zealot. He becomes aware of other Mandalorians that take their helmets off, which that's a side tangent. Let's not get distracted by that at this point. But all of that being said, in the finale of The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan was the one that was planning on dueling Moff Gideon and then once again getting the Darksaber to have her claim to get back Mandalore. That didn't work out as planned. Jaren was the one that ended up facing Moff Gideon with his Beskar blade against the Darksaber, and he defeated Moff Gideon in combat, which means he has a claim to the sword. Now let me explain this right here. What happens at the end of the episode is Bo-Katan has a bitch face and she's so upset. But she also is at a point where she's like kind of willing to entertain him as the one who will lead this inevitable rebellion. And at that point, the Mandalorian just says to her, yeah, no, thank you. You can have the blade back. And then some other person says, that's not the rules. Not according to Star Wars Rebels, it's not, because Sabine handed that blade to Bo-Katan just like that. Remember in season 4, I think, of Star Wars Rebels. So
and
there's
what does it fucking matter? Your thing is gone. Your people are gone. You took off your fucking helmets. What does it fucking matter?
She literally went from making fun of him for being a religious zealot to saying, oh no, I can't take the Darksaber. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, okay, you really don't want this planet back, do you? Or like... Oh my god. Okay, but this is where... Okay.
Wait, hold on. I just want to say, look, I want to point out hypocrisy here, and please try as hard as you can, Peter, to keep your train of thought. I just want to say this. As someone who used to be this kind of person, and the majority of fans are this right now, where they're so critical, hypercritical of quote unquote inconsistencies and plot holes and production errors. I love how none of these people who are like basically frothing at the mouth of this show are pointing out how many retcons and inconsistencies there are with the very things that they're praising. Like, there are so many things with Ahsoka's dialogue, with this retcon of the Darksaber. There are so many things that they're just going back on for the sake of, because as Peter says, they've written themselves into a corner. And these people, what my problem is that the fans aren't calling out on them when they do so obsessive, when they complain about purple hair in The Last Jedi. They complain about bombs being able to fall in space. Like...
It might be that like these little issues aren't the reason why they don't like or dislike anything, and it's something actually bigger than that. But I mean, that would require discussing other things. But it's a lot easier just to go like, that's not how space works. This equals bad movie. Knife disappeared. This equals bad movie. And it's like, there was a fucking... Well, actually, not anymore. They took him out. But, you know, that the dude that was in the back of the production guy that was in the back?
Yeah. In one of the episodes of season 2.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't like The Mandalorian, but I would never use that as like a reason to be like, oh, this show sucks. because there accidentally was a production guy in the in the back for like a second. Like, no, that's silly. If I did, yeah, I don't know. I don't
Going
like
back
that.
to this storyline
back.
that I think that they were setting up is that Jaren is now going to lead the Mandalorians, because I don't know what else you do with this show.
I told you. I fucking told you, and you specifically. I think when we were reviewing season 1, and you were like, well, you know, what are they going to do? And I told you, they're probably going to give him the story, Boba Fett, because this is basically the Boba Fett show. Boba Fett's story, I think from the EU, I can't remember specifically, which is basically coming in and, you know, reluctant hero of Mandalore. I don't even... he's basically just gonna become the ruler of Mandalore.
And you know
he's
what
gonna
else
come
is
in
weird
and save them.
About that moment? And I don't think you guys saw these parts, but like, it felt so much, and this honestly kind of pissed me off. It felt so much like the show was saying, like they were taking Bo-Katan's character and throwing her in the trash. Like, I think there was even a part where she was shot in the leg or something, just for good measure, by how obsolete she just became in that moment. What was the point of bringing her back then?
Because you know her.
Yeah.
She's someone you know.
It's so offensive to me. Like, this is the Bo-Katan's... If you're going to do this, it should have been Bo-Katan. And now it's this other person? I don't understand how this is not, I don't know, flaming the, you know, the fanning the flames of all of this ire that we're so used to from fans. There's just no talk of this, and it's so blatant and evident here.
She got replaced by Gary Stu. That's interesting. I did not know one of my other predictions is also close to coming to fruition. Just in general, well, I don't. Yeah, there's not really much to say. I was going to talk about the action, but it's like the action is fine.
Oh my god, it's
None of it.
It's pretty
okay.
Yeah,
It's pretty
being
whatever.
praised as like the best action. What are you talking about?
I thought it was fine. I'll be honest. I think they got to work on the Ahsoka's action stuff. It was kind of awkward.
It really was.
Oh,
I guess you didn't see this part because it was in the last episode. But, and again, this is another one of those things that was, I think, pretty fucking disappointing, and no one's talking about it. Considering how much they hyped up Giancarlo Esposito as the main villain, Moff Gideon, he was taken out like a fucking bitch, and no one's talking about that. He didn't die. He was just captured, but he was pretty defeated, like handily.
Okay.
Like, honestly, like,
that's another thing. He's such a boring ass villain.
He really is. 5 people storm his cruiser, and it's taken over easily. And then he duels the Mandalorian with the Darksaber, and that fight was so ugly and honestly kind of bad. That was not at all interesting. That was supposed to be the duel of the season, and I think you can tell that it made no impact because no one was talking about that when the episode was over.
No.
I didn't even know if he lived or died, or there was even a fight, because I never even heard it. I only heard about the last 5 minutes, so I went and checked, and then I went, oh, Jesus. And I just never wanted to see another episode of the show again. But, yeah, no, but that was one of the things, too. At the end of season 1, I was like, oh, they're bringing in Carlo Esposito. Am I saying it right?
Giancarlo Esposito, almost right.
Giancarlo Esposito, as the main villain. And again, if you flesh out some of the stuff that's here, it could be good. He's not fleshed out in the show at all.
He's boring.
He's so boring. There's nothing to him as a bad guy. And sometimes, and you can have a sort of not very fleshed out one note bad guy, and it can work and it can be interesting, it's not here because nothing else is fleshed out or interesting. And then also, he's just being the same bad guy he is in everything. Like, if I'm thinking of this kind of role where it works, I'm thinking like Rogue One with, what's his name?
Ben Mendelsohn. Krennic.
Ben Mendelsohn. I think it works with Krennic.
Mm-hmm.
I think Krennic works well enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think here it's just...
It works with Will Huff Tarkin, you know?
Yeah, of course, Tarkin works. But here, there's nothing to him at all.
Thrawn works really well. So it's yes, Alexis?
Do they say what his... I mean, obviously he was going for Baby Yoda, but like why?
They never have a conversation about that. There's no big reveal moment, but they don't reveal anything, but I kind of feel we know what they were getting at, right, Peter? It was in the middle of the season they revealed that there were clones.
My prediction,
yeah,
after like the first episode of the first season was, well, not the first episode. Well, maybe the first episode.
I think the episode 3.
Maybe episode 3. Yeah, you know what? I think it was episode 3. It was the reason they want Baby Yoda is clones. And I thought and I thought to tie into the Emperor, or at that point it was the Emperor, and then maybe even Snoke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I specifically said Snoke. And I think the third to last episode, when they showed the tanks with what was supposed to be clones looking awfully Snoke-like, I was just like,
mm-hmm.
Oh no, it was an earlier episode. It wasn't that episode. But yeah, no, when I saw it, I was just like, holy shit. You think Jon Favreau listens to our podcast?
It's so sad how predictable the show is.
They're like, we'll do the opposite of what Peter is saying.
No, they're doing the opposite of what I want, but they're doing exactly what I'll predict. That's pretty
maybe
fucking funny.
Say good ideas instead of predictions.
But I know they won't come out right, so I'm not gonna say it. No. Let's talk about Luke.
Okay, good. I was gonna ask if we wanted to tackle Luke or Boba first. I think Luke.
There's nothing to tackle with Boba. I think I've said how I feel about Boba.
That episode was a fucking joke. I literally laughed the whole way.
Well,
me too.
The episode with Boba Fett is the point where I got angry.
It was so stupid, but okay, that's it. That's basically what I had to say.
I think it's worth saying because that one, I'm going to assume, was probably the favorite episode of a lot of people. And I have to say, I think that was one of the first times I felt embarrassed about what I was watching. It was, as Peter described it, a fan film, which is why, you say that it was shot in San Diego, it looks like. But it's just shitty fan service and stupid. And to me, what I actually found gross about it was the degree to which they felt that Boba had to beyond murder those stormtroopers. And that's just not...
That made me laugh.
It made me laugh, but it also made me cringe because that's not Star Wars. It reminded me about all of those people that want an R-rated Star Wars movie. And like, you guys have no idea what Star Wars even is if you're even asking that question. And this is what felt most like it. And it just felt like Zack Snyder directed it. I'm sorry. It just felt gross and stupid.
It's so... Yeah, like you said, not Star Wars. When he's literally just like, whoa, just like crushing their face in. And it's when you say Zack Snyder, I guess it reminds me, if I can compare it to anything, it's like that recent picture they released with like Wonder Woman with the severed heads attached to her, like, her side. Have you seen that picture, Miss
Wait,
Moreno?
what?
You haven't seen it?
No.
Oh my god. Let me show it to you. It's
So,
fucking
Zack
hilarious.
Snyder a few days ago on Twitter released an image. I think it was from a deleted version of Batman v Superman, and it showed Wonder Woman in the past, and she had like these severed. She was in a war of some sort, and she had severed heads where she was wearing them around her waist, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you because
Fuck.
Exactly.
look at it.
Oh, I'm kind of scared. Oh my god, I opened it to a different picture that was there earlier.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah. That was going to be Wonder Woman. The only reason that wasn't Wonder Woman was because Patty Jenkins was like, no.
Oh my god.
Right? Like, it's like, I don't even know what to say. It's just like, oh god. Like, this just doesn't. It's just so in the opposite direction of anything I would consider Wonder Woman. And that's the exact same way I felt like watching that Boba Fett episode, where it's like, this is just so much. It felt like watching Diana with the severed heads tied to her. Like, yeah, this just. I know exactly who wants this. I know exactly who this is for. And I know it ain't me. I'll tell you that. That's exactly the way I felt. And like what I said earlier about how, like, obviously the actors are having fun, but I'm not. It's kind of a joke, but it is true. Like, you can tell, like, the actor who plays Boba Fett, I can't
Tamora
remember his name.
Morrison.
Yeah, he's so cool. I think and he is one of those people where it's like, I don't know if I'll watch the Book of Boba the Fett, his spinoff series, but like we said earlier, it's like, I'm glad he's getting that check.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad he's having a good time.
At the end of the day, good for the actors. And
Yeah.
I actually do appreciate the smaller supporting roles, even the cameos. A lot of, working actors are getting paid some big money to be on the show, and recognition as well.
Oh, yeah.
So good for them. But before we move off Boba, we can't let this go. And even Kyle, when we were having this discussion with him, said this, at least in that episode. And again, the irony is lost not on us, but apparently to everybody on the internet, how much Boba Fett looked like a sweaty cosplayer at Comic-Con.
He did. And again, I feel bad saying it, but it's just like, because the armor was made for a cheesy children's space fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're trying to take it super adult, serious, science fiction world type shit, the translation ain't great.
No.
'Cause it's just not. That's why Because you have like him in the black robes, and then they kind of put the armor on top, and it's like he just looks so cheap. And yes, I'll say there's some dad bod going on. It didn't look great. And then for some randomly in the next episode, I guess he like buffed out all the scratches over the years.
Yeah.
And that's the first time you've seen Boba Fett without it looking worn.
Yeah.
It looked weird,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm okay with it. It's just funny that they made that decision,
Mm-hmm.
like just in between episodes. Like, oh yeah, we're just gonna get it a paint job.
Jeez.
And I feel like we can't. Well, do we want to save that post credit scene for the last thing we say? That kind of I feel encompasses how we feel about this show, or should we just get it out of the way with now, after Luke or before Luke?
No, let's talk about the post credits.
Okay. That was the moment where I feel like I'm officially done with the show and kind of Star Wars, because because it was a post-credit scene in and of itself was basically the final nail in the coffin that this is basically the MCU now, which is the least offensive part of that sequence, because what really happens, I thought what happened with Boba and the Stormtroopers was cringe enough. That was the most cringe thing. Like it honest. I don't know what the right word to attach, to it is. It was beyond. Ugh. It was stupid.
It's the final nail in the coffin of this is just Marvel now. And again, it's the fan fiction weird fantasy of Boba Fett's the coolest, most badass. He just walks in and he's taking over Jabba's. He's now the most badass gangster in the planet, I guess now. And Ming-Na Wen's along for the ride, I guess. I don't know. Can I be honest? I don't like her costume, or what would you call it? Whatever she wears, I don't like it. It's very boring.
I mean, so is the character.
It's just like
a
black. Yeah, she's just Ming-Na Wen, I guess. Yeah, it matches.
Not that she's boring.
Yeah, not that Ming-Na Wen is boring,
Yeah.
but the character is literally just
They don't do anything with her.
It's literally an action figure of Ming-Na Wen. Like I said, where you pull the string in the back and it's she says lines and that's about it.
Oh, jeez.
So I guess that just leaves one thing left, right? Which, wow. Again, this was one of those things where I was so surprised that people were surprised that this happened. But I think, Peter, now you and I kind of called it weeks in advance about who's showing up.
Luke Skywalker. Wait, did you save the audio?
What audio?
Oh, I thought you were like looking for audio of me saying that.
No. I remember us having that conversation, I think, as to who the Jedi Master would be. I think when the Ahsoka episode aired.
Yeah. I said, like, fuck it.
Said it.
Yeah.
They're good. It's going to be Luke.
Well, I don't know if I told you guys, but I know I had told David. I was like, they're going to bring him in, and I'm going to get pissed. This is so stupid. Like, who else would it fucking be? Like,
this is the thing, though. They always go just that extra mile to make it even worse. Right? So it's like, with the Boba... Not only did they bring in Boba Fett, but he's just, like... cracking skulls like it's 300 or something, And then they can't just have Luke show up at the end and take Baby Yoda. No, they have to have him have his own hallway action scene. They have to give the fans exactly what they want, which is Luke Skywalker killing and stabbing with triumphant music in the background, because isn't it so cool and badass how he stabs and murders? But I guess they're droids, so it doesn't count. And the fact that they made it parallel the Darth Vader scene in Rogue One really did just make me throw up my hands and go like, you just want him to be a violent murdering machine that happens to be a good guy. That's all you want out of Luke. the fact that the main bad guy and the main good guy are doing the exact same thing.
It's not good.
And your response to both is so badass.
Like father, like son. Unironically, they say that.
This is what Luke should have been in The Last Jedi.
Should have been what? Just stabbing? This is what I mean. Like, there's no character. There's no anything. He says like 2 lines. And it's like, this is the Luke we wanted. You just wanted to see people get stabbed. Like, you didn't want it. What do you mean the Luke you wanted? I hated it. I mean, I think if it's very clear, I hated it more than anything Star Wars has done since Disney acquired it.
Wow.
It's just a big ol'... Again, to me, the way I view Luke is just so polar opposite to the way everyone else does, it feels like. Specifically, Jon Favreau and even Dave Filoni. And I don't agree with the way they portray him, and I don't agree with the way people view him. And I just hated it, top to bottom.
Alexis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Everything you said?
No, yeah, like... I just think that these people want another Anakin, and they want grown-up Luke to be that way. But no. Like, this character has gone through shit. Why can't we just see that?
And
why can't you be okay with that?
If you want, I don't. Wait a minute. If you want another, if you wanted something close to what Anakin was like, well, I mean, Kylo Ren. Hello.
They did like Kylo Ren.
They did
until they crushed the helmet. You mean, right?
It seems mixed, but it does seem like even the people that hate all that shit still like Kylo Ren. Somewhat. I don't know. But I don't think they're trying to be Anakin. They're trying to be Marvel, where the hero, pops in at the last second and then it's just killing, and they want a Thor moment from Avengers: Infinity War. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what they're looking for. It's literally just Marvel shit, but not even good Marvel shit, like the bad Marvel shit with Star Wars layered over it. And that's just what people want. They don't want character. They don't want, like, the fact that Luke looked like a soulless mannequin was very on brand in my eyes.
Basically. Thank you for saying that. It's exactly what I felt. Oh, you're you're a lifeless husk? Good. That's exactly what these people want out of stories. That's exactly
what this is. This is exactly what people want out of you. And it I know I've said this maybe a million times, but I mean it this time. It's the nail in the coffin as far as The Mandalorian is concerned for me. The first season was back and forth. The second season, by the end, I'm done. I don't care. I'm done.
It's like falling off a cliff.
No. The falling off a cliff at least allows a sweet release at some point. This is just... I hate it. I hate it so much. And by the way, again, if you enjoy it, the show, more power to you. I am jealous. I think it's awesome. Don't let anyone take away the things you love. Continue to love it. And for all the shit I said, I probably have a couple Baby Yodas around here rummaging around. I don't know. Because it's fucking cute, and I'm going to continue to buy them.
It's fucking cute, and I hate it.
It is very cute. I hate it, and it's cute, and I just want to buy 50 more t-shirts. God damn you, Disney. So yeah, it is a love-hate relationship at this point, I guess. But love is still in there.
I think for me...
yeah, go ahead.
For me, the second they said a X-Wing, I think that was that was pretty clear that was Luke Skywalker. That was going. Well, I don't know if you see the last 5 minutes, they say that who's coming. It's an X-wing, just one X-wing. It's like, oh God, here we go. And look, I guess I can understand more so than a lot of the other talking points. It's the ones that I sympathize. I know I agree with everything you said, Peter. Just to be clear, I agree with about this being completely contradictory to everything we know this character to be. I can understand and even sympathize with certain sections of fans that like this, but then also really like how they handle him in The Last Jedi. If you're somebody out there that can reconcile that, congratulations, good for you. I can even understand that point of view.
You're luckier than either side because you get to enjoy both.
Yeah, basically, and good. Again, the point of this is not to take that away from you. It's just to say how we feel, basically, right?
Yeah.
And to me, I wasn't even, I guess, at all concerned if this fit. Well, yeah, I guess I was concerned if this was the character. The whole time watching that, I was just angry. I was angry because it felt as someone, and all of us here are people. Well, I guess this must have been what The Last Jedi felt to these people then, because I felt like I was being told fuck off in that episode, because like everything that all of us here on this panel affirm, the Luke Skywalker story in The Last Jedi was beyond epic. It's not just like a beautifully told story, but I think the quote unquote action that they had him do was the best thing you ever could have done with the Jedi in any of the movies, bar none.
Yeah.
But that being said, this was just an excuse for Luke Skywalker to wave around a lightsaber and stab some things. And I knew at the minute that I was watching those images how easily that people were going to eat that up. And in particular, the horrid people who were screaming at the top of their lungs for saying that this was not my Luke Skywalker. I mean, especially the really horrible Last Jedi fans who really are beyond toxic ones. Like, those are the ones that, and again, it's another example of this show validating these people. And it was such a waste of time, and it also just doesn't fit. It's just a random person coming into this show.
It takes over the whole
it's upstaging the quote unquote main characters of the show, and it's like, why does that? It doesn't occur to anyone at all that they just want what they want. And you saw from the reactions, people applauding, standing up. There was videos of people crying over this. And again, if you love it,
oh my God, that pissed me off.
I don't. If that made you cry,
wait, why did it piss you off?
If that made you cry, and if you had an emotional response to that, understand that it is not my intent to come off as I'm making fun of you. And if you love it, great. But all it does for me is make it hate it even more.
I thought I was the sourpuss.
Also, it looked as bad as you can imagine. For how long? Like, I guess you really can tell the budget went into that, but it was a lifeless husk. I don't understand why they can't just do actors. And it also pisses me off, again, more so than the stabbing, how a lot of supposed Luke Skywalker purists can identify more with a digital recreation, basically, than Mark Hamill's actual performance in Episode 8.
Because he was Jake Skywalker, not Luke Skywalker. I would actually not disagree, just I had different feelings. I'm past the point of anger, I guess, when it comes to sort of like...
How about disgust?
No, I'm past that stuff. As far as like when you see something like this and then people cheering it, going like, oh, this is the real thing, this is it, and then people being all happy about it and and mainly because, for one, a lot of the people that are happy about it, I know aren't the toxic element.
Yes, you're right.
So the fact that people are out there just happy with this stuff, it's like awesome. I'm happy that I legitimately am happy that
I think all of us are to an extent, but I think for me and Moreno, a lot of it is just frustrating because part of it is just confusion. Yes. It's all a difference of opinion, and that's great and all, but it's like, I guess part of
it's more frustration.
Part of the...
and like, I like another thing that bothers me is, I don't know if you guys get this, but I often say that The Last Jedi is my favorite Star Wars anything, and I am hit with that movie fucking sucked. And I don't know if you guys like personally get this all the time, so that's why that pisses me off.
Oh, okay.
You get that a lot?
I get that a lot.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I don't discuss Star Wars much outside of
it's part of
this
my job,
right here.
So I kind of have to.
Yeah, I know it's your job, so you probably get it a lot. Yeah, I guess if people were really nasty about it to me, I would feel that. But then again, you know, anger leads to hate.
Oh my
god. No, but like low key, kind of for reals, because the same people that like got really just bullied and all kinds of shit thrown at them for liking the prequels.
Yeah. They're nasty.
I was part of that group.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They then turn around and kind of acted the same way when the new films came out.
Right.
I didn't like the new films, but it's like I don't want to ruin.
That's why we keep repeating ourselves, because we don't want to.
Kathleen Kennedy's life. I just want to make it because you have to nowadays, just because of how fucking terrible the internet is, but also specifically Star Wars fans on the internet.
That's why I keep repeating myself in the sense that
yeah, me too.
We want to make sure anyone listening to this, if you've made it this far, even, and if you love this show, look, we have nothing against you. Congratulations for loving it. It's the thing is, we have to differentiate that now, because now Star Wars fans, some vocal minority, have this reputation for being toxic people, that they literally go after random people online just for claiming that they love something that they hate, you know? And in every single instance where we find ourselves in a very different point of view, we want to reiterate time and time again that we do not wish to take that joy away from you. It is merely us just trying,
expressing how we feel.
Exactly. And I guess part of the frustration
about the show, not anyone around it.
Part of the frustration from our side is Alexis, Peter, and I, like, we constantly look for other spaces online that have anything close to a resemblance of what we feel like with this show, but it often feels like we're the only ones.
We feel understood.
Yeah. Specifically with The Mandalorian, like with stuff like when it came to The Last Jedi, there was plenty of other like channels and stuff where it's like, okay, like they're I don't feel alone in how I feel, and it's like there's some really good videos out there breaking down why the film is good, at least from, you know, people like ours perspective. But with The Mandalorian, everybody loves it. Everybody. And even the people that are kind of wishy-washy, they're like, well, maybe at some point, if the cameos become too much, or the fan service becomes too much, like, bitch, what do you mean at some point? That's all the show is. Like, what? Like that's the way. I'm really alone when it comes to The Mandalorian. And yeah, I don't know. That's why I also felt like we got to do this review, because I super agree as far as, like, I don't hear other people saying this about the show, which is weird to me, really weird, because I would think at least some major voices out there would have this feeling that I have about the show, but I don't. see it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and just for for funsies, right? Like for people who are listening, just because
The one thing that I did see a lot of was the whole Black Saber thing and like how that situation went down. Like I did see a lot of people be like, "Oh, that was kind of weird." But other than that, like everything was
It's good.
yeah.
And again, that's why I felt so weird when the next week it's like Wonder Woman 1984 is the worst trash that's ever been made. And da-da-da. It's like, oh, fuck. So, like, you do have the ability to fucking hate on this shit hardcore, but you're not? I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, and also to say, like, Star Wars fans, as all are we all, right? We
Oh, yeah.
disagree all the time ourselves. Like, just because the three of us here on this panel are united on this particular show doesn't mean we agree with all things. All of us have our particular favorites, and we also have things that the other, don't really care for. Like, I really love Force Awakens. Peter doesn't. I really love Star Wars Rebels. Peter really doesn't like Star Wars Rebels. We all have the things that we like about anything, really. Not just Star Wars.
So you made it look bad because it's just like, I love this. Peter doesn't. I love this. Peter doesn't.
Well, we'll give you another example. Peter loves The Lighthouse. I could live the rest of my life not watching that movie, and I would be all the better for it. I happen to think Emperor's New Groove is great. Alexis hates The Emperor's New Groove.
That's right. You're a piece of shit. Oh my god. You don't like Cusco?
Oh, shit.
God damn.
Did you guys know that this movie was supposed to be a musical and Sting was supposed to write the music?
That wasn't supposed to be called The Empire of the Sun or some shit.
I think so.
You know what? It looks like they were going hardcore Disney Renaissance.
Yeah.
And then I don't know at what point it came out. Like maybe at this point DreamWorks was out, and it's
Shrek probably changed it. Maybe.
Yeah, like, and then it became completely different. Like it was trying to compete with the new DreamWorks kind of humor shit.
Peter and I really love Up. Alexis hates it. Alexis and I really love Frozen 2. Peter hates it. I mean, this happens all the time.
I'm right, though. That's just a fact.
We all have our things that we're obsessed about, but no one else watches. Alexis has been trying to get everyone to watch Tangled the series. No one else wants to take her up on her offer. I've been trying to get everyone to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No one gives a fuck. Kyle...
That is true.
Kyle wants everyone to watch James Bond. Peter, threw himself on the sword on that one, but I'm not fucking with James Bond anytime
And then he
soon.
gave up. So I'm here left with having watched all these goddamn James Bond movies.
So it's like, hey, we all have very differing points of view on everything, but as far as if there's an end point for all of this is everyone has a different point of view at Star Wars. It's very generational. It's very different. And for whatever reason, it wasn't always this way. I think all of us had very different ways we interpreted Star Wars being. But for whatever reason, we've kind of fallen in a similar place. And it's just not something, this iteration of Star Wars, that I can identify with. And I think what's indicative most of all, and I wanted Peter to comment on this because he wasn't here, was when Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm, said that the upcoming Obi-Wan series was going to feature the rematch of the century.
Oh my god.
Oh,
you need to listen to that podcast. I was so angry when he said this. Oh my god.
Oh no, when Alexis said this. I thought you were talking about
because
Kathleen.
I didn't listen to the whole thing.
Okay.
He's the one that told. I was pissed off. I was so mad.
That again is just like, this isn't Star Wars. That final lightsaber battle between them in A New Hope isn't about the rematch of the century. It's about the character stuff that's going on, represented by the lightsaber battle. And most notably, the sacrifice at the end. What's that old adage of musicals when it's like when the emotions become just too much for the characters in musicals, they break out into song? I think it's the same with Star Wars. When the emotions get too much for the characters, they break out into lightsaber battles. But it's supposed to mean something when they do it. And this idea that you're gonna just sort of whittle down their relationship to like a WWE match is just really fucking lame. And I hate it. I hate it so much. Yeah, I don't care about that Obi-Wan series at all anymore. Like,
keyword
at all.
Anymore.
Because there's always a chance that you could do something good, but then details come out, and I'm like, okay, they did the opposite, so never mind. Every fucking time. Yeah. I mean, that kind of sums it up. And I guess what's lame is, I thought at the very least, I knew projects like this are obviously going to keep coming out, and honestly, they should, because there's a market for it, and it brings people happiness. There's obviously people that view Star Wars this way, and they love it, and I want them to continue to get the stuff that they love, and that's awesome. But I thought there would at least be a balance.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought there would be a balance of, here's this kind of Star Wars stuff, which, Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, that shit. And then
Rian Johnson's trilogy.
Something like Rian Johnson's trilogy, or just something wholly original by some interesting artists similar to Johnson. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But everything they announced for their slate upcoming, I fucking hate.
It's just more of the same.
It's just crap. 3 of them were basically the same thing.
Yeah. Like
your whole Rangers of the New Republic, fucking Rogue Squadron, and was it Andor?
Oh.
Did they name it Andor?
Yeah, Cassian Andor, the TV show.
It's all just about rebels. It's all just rebel shit. Fighting empires. 3 different series about the same shit. In a movie series that we've already seen like 9 movies. No, like 12 movies of them doing that. What more could you show me that I have not already seen? And I do not care. Move forward, for the love of God. And it's like, I don't want to see a Boba Fett show. I don't care about no Bad fucking Batch. I don't even remember them from the show, if I'm going to be honest. I don't remember the fucking Bad Batch. But it's just going to be... I don't care about the Ahsoka show. At one point, I thought I might, but I know the story direction they're going to go, and I just don't care. What else was announced that I can say that I don't care about?
I'm interested in the Bad Batch.
Yeah,
but not because of the Bad Batch. If that makes sense.
Because it's more Clone Wars-y stuff.
I am interested to see the aftermath within the clones of them having either to betray each other or go along with it or what the fuck.
But see, that would require them being put in interesting scenarios, so I doubt that'll happen.
It could. Maybe. Who knows? I mean, we got to take
if they actually wanted that, they wouldn't have gone with the whole chip in the brain thing. They would have actually made it like
let's not unearth that again.
I know. Yes.
If you want to hear that conversation, there's a literal 4-hour podcast that we did from back in May. Had The Mandalorian in the title. By all means, listeners, go back and listen to that. But Peter's main thing is he disagrees with the inhibitor chip storyline. It's a 4-hour conversation. By all means, help yourselves to that, but please do not unleash that here. I think we've had enough of our fill with everything, all right? I mean, not that I have strong feelings about it, like when not to censor you, but I mean, we don't have enough time to fill at this point. I think we've exhausted anything we have to say about
this. Is 1984 all over again. I'm being censored.
That movie could have used with a fair share of censoring, if we're being honest, but nope, that didn't happen. Yeah. Anything else?
If you love the show out there, that's awesome. If you want my opinion, I hate it. For all the reasons stated in these past 2.5 hours. That's about it.
You know, I love Star Wars. Nothing is really going to kill that for me. I just recently did a marathon of the episodes 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then I threw in a little Clone Wars in there, and then I'm right back in it. And so there'll always be those. I'll always have that, and I'll always have that love for it within me. But this iteration, this direction, I guess I'll watch some of the stuff, but I think we're long past the days of me feeling excited over it. And it is a little bit depressing, but oh well. We all gotta move on sometime.
Dune.
Alexis?
I agree.
I guess the real question for me is, we really need to like unearth what the hell your problem was with Emperor's New Groove. If anything.
Yeah, that's an issue.
That should be a point of discussion, but at some point anyway. Thank you all for listening to this rambling rant. Is it even a review, or I think it's kind of a roast at this point of The Mandalorian, if there ever was one.
It's the only one.
Yeah. The only one on the whole internet. So, hey, there's that. Remember, you can listen to our podcasts every single Sunday and sometimes on Thursdays. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, whether it be Apple or Spotify, Castbox.fm, or also on YouTube, as well as the Fantasy Fair podcast and To the Table, which is going to be coming back for Feel Good February, led by our own Peter Martinez. Can't wait for that. We've got more programming this month with David Francisco coming back. We're doing weekly recaps of the WandaVision series coming to Disney Plus. Hopefully that should be much more exciting than Mandalorian. We're also planning on doing an audio commentary for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Alexis and I are recapping The Crown, which you can currently stream on Netflix. You have a whole, juicy, backstabby bits coming up with you with 3 more episodes. And then, of course, Peter and I are going to be reviewing, we have to finish our Guillermo del Toro series. A lot of good things planned for you for January into 2021, which, insurrection attempt notwithstanding, is a much more brighter outlook than it was currently a year ago when World War III was facing us in the, down the face, basically. So, all that being said, stay under the spotlight for more programming, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.